The glass doors slid open and the rhythmic thud of punches stopped. Kayla Johnson, 18, crossed the gym carrying a battered duffel bag and wearing torn sneakers. Under the harsh fluorescent lights, her dark skin stood out against the spotless floor of Manhattan's most expensive gym, where the monthly membership cost more than 3 times the minimum wage. Leaning against the ring, Vanessa Steele raised an eyebrow and let out a shrill laugh. A 2-time world champ, she collects knockouts in the ring and likes online. On her last post, she wrote, "You can't copy superiority." 500,000 likes in a few hours. Before we go on, hit subscribe and tap the bell. That way YouTube knows this content matters and shows it to more people. Kayla checked the address on her cracked phone. "Sorry, I thought this was the scholarship program," she said. Victoria's mockery flew like a hook through the air. "Scholarships? This isn't a community center. We train pros, not social experiments." The office door slammed. Tom Rodriguez, owner and head coach, walked out holding a folder. "The program's real and Kayla's on the list." Victoria snorted, smacking her gloves together. "Turning my workout into charity? Sponsors hate flops." Tom didn't have to raise his voice. Each word landed dry as a straight to the chin. "They pay for wins, not for who you feel like standing next to. If Kayla wants to fight, the ring is hers. The question is, can you share the space or do you want to train alone?" The silence that followed made the heavy bags sway, as if they'd taken a phantom hit. Victoria stepped forward with a smile that promised trouble. She stopped in front of Kayla. "3 rounds, just us. Stay on your feet and you go on. Hit the mat and—" Contempt hung in the air. Every stare weighed on Kayla, but she kept her chin up. "I'm in," she answered calmly. Victoria arched an eyebrow. "You sure? After today, your dreams will feel way too big." For the first time, Kayla smiled. "Positive." In Kingston's alleys, though, Kayla Johnson was called Lightning, and lightning only shows its power when the storm hits. While Victoria counted the views on Kayla's pending humiliation, Tom, off to the side, caught the spark that only shows up in talents disguised as underdogs. The sparring rumor tore through the gym like gunpowder. Sterling versus a nobody? Within minutes, fighters, coaches, and reporters packed the place. 3 rounds, 16-ounce gloves, Tom ruled, trying to limit the damage. No bets, no live stream. Victoria was already filming for her 2 million followers. "Guys, look, a rookie challenged me. Time to teach her." The comments boiled. "Drop her. Show her who's boss." Kayla, silent, pulled on her gloves. The leather squeezed her fists like an omen. The storm was coming, and lightning never misses when it splits the sky. In the arena's cold corridors, dripping showers set the tempo. Kayla tightened her hand wraps in silence. Her heart pounded with bottled-up anger and burning memories. Tom appeared at the doorway, eyes tense. "Kayla, you don't need this," he whispered. "The scholarship's worth a lot, but not more than your body. She's arrogant." She slid in her mouthguard without hurry. "I won't walk out hurt," she said calmly. "She's got belts, skill, media. I bring something she's never felt." Tom frowned. "What's that?" "Hunger." The word hummed in the locker room. 3 decades around athletes, and he'd rarely heard such certainty. Kayla tilted her head and added, "When you fight for your next meal, you don't step up for vanity. You step up to exist." Across the gym, Victoria spun for the cameras, flashing sponsors and laughing at her rivals' ragged sneakers. "Learned boxing on YouTube," she said. The crowd laughed, but among the vets, the mockery died. Mark Wilson, a former middleweight champ, murmured, "Quiet ones bite." Minutes later, Kayla slipped through the ropes. Plain shorts, blank tank, muscles ready to snap. She scanned the crowd until her eyes locked on the champ. "Ready for a lesson?" Victoria taunted. Kayla rolled her shoulders, every fiber coiled to fire. "Always," she replied, like someone announcing the siren had just sounded. Vanessa Steele never guessed the skinny coach in front of her carried scars still open from Kingston streets. At 8, Blaze Johnson swapped toys for punches to fool hunger. At 12, he fed the family by beating older boys in sweltering alleys. By 16, the whole island whispered about his precision. He read a move and fired back before the other guy blinked. When he finally got a US visa, he swore off the ring. An easy promise to make, hard to keep when your dignity's on the line. Years later, Blaze walks into a neighborhood gym dead set on sharpening his niece's talent. Tom, the local coach, tightens Kayla's gloves and is thrown by her calm. Loose hands, dense muscles, steady breath. "Show me the basics," he says. In minutes, she glides along the ropes, pivots like the canvas is elastic, and every punch on the bag pops with metronome cadence. Tom gulps. That girl wasn't born yesterday. The door creaks. Walter Johnson, 50, hands hard as stone, strolls in. "Blaze," he greets, and the nickname cuts the air. Two old-timers lift their brows, chasing memories of alley brawls and side bets. Kayla, solid till then, feels her voice catch. "Uncle, why'd you come?" Walter answers in a thick Jamaican accent. "I want to know if you've lost your mind." Suddenly the room holds its breath. Old ghosts call for the next round. Tom raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Where did that sense of familiarity come from? Walter, speaking calmly, explained that he'd known Kayla since she was 8, and in a low voice assured him that Vanessa Steele had no idea what kind of challenge was waiting for her. On the far side of the gym, Victoria wrapped up another story. "Look at that. She brought the whole family to cry afterward." Seconds later, a wave of patriotic comments rolled in. "Teach that woman to respect Americans." Before we go on, hit subscribe and ring the bell so YouTube knows this content matters and shows it to more people. Kayla squeezed her uncle's arm, asking for silence. Tom pressed her. Silence about what? Walter took a deep breath, as if unlocking a secret that could turn everything upside down. He talked about their days in Kingston, when young Kayla was dropping men 3 times her size. By 15, her reputation made gangsters step aside. Blaze Johnson wasn't a nickname, it was a warning. Tom's eyes shifted. Why then take the fight with Victoria? Walter shrugged. Some folks mistake kindness for weakness. Blaze has never tolerated being underestimated for her color, gender, or where she's from. While Victoria's cameras spread arrogance across social media, a whirlwind of strength and history was brewing among the heavy bags, ready to decide who hunted and who'd be hunted. "Mike, this is gonna blow up online. Sponsors love a provocative massacre, a world champ versus a nobody. Domination sells, remember? Just don't leave the girl in a coma, Victoria," the manager warned over speakerphone. "Injury lawsuits are expensive." Victoria's laugh echoed through the locker room. "Relax, Mike. I'll finish before she even knows what happened." Across the ring, Walter's face hardened as he listened. "Tom, want some advice? Bet on Blaze." "And why would I risk my money? Sterling may have belts, but she's never fought to put food on the table. Blaze knows losing means no dinner. She didn't come to pose, she came to defend her story." Just then, Kayla appeared, still winded from training, sweat beading on her face. "Uncle Walter, what secret are you telling Tom?" "No secret, kid. Just reminding him you're not the fragile extra that American Girl imagines." Kayla noticed the other boxers pausing their bags to watch her, now with curious respect. "Uncle, I didn't want what? Show who I really am." Walter moved closer. "You spent months scrubbing bathrooms to start over. But when they try to shame you for your skin color or the neighborhood you grew up in, the ring becomes a courtroom. People born to shine don't hide their thunder. In your fists, Kayla, there's more than power. There's hunger and memory. No new life erases what runs in your blood." A chill ran down Tom's spine. He cleared his throat before asking, "Kayla, why did you take this fight?" She stayed silent, eyes locked on Victoria Sterling, who was posing for her phone like the ring was a runway. When she finally spoke, her voice was dry and firm, nothing like the one she used with the team. "Because people like Victoria treat us like extras. They think they can shove us into a corner, laugh in our faces, turn our skin into a funny post." She looked at me and thought, easy victim, more content for the feed. Kayla drew a deep breath, tasting the gym's heavy air. "Where I grew up, respect isn't given, it's taken. When they try to rip away our dignity, the answer has to speak loud." A thin smile appeared, sharp as the snap of a glove. Her chin lifted. "Sometimes lightning reminds people why storms are scary." Across the way, Victoria kept up her arrogance routine, unaware of the new storyline taking shape just yards away. The runner on the treadmill slowed. The folks chatting in the corner swallowed their words. Everyone sensed they were about to witness something beyond a routine spar. The moment years of compressed silence would find a voice in the fists of someone who learned on hard streets that, when ears are deaf, force writes the caption. When the gong vibrated through the gym, Victoria lunged like a missile. firing a string of jabs that whistled through the space where Kayla's face had been a heartbeat earlier. The crowd barely blinked, realizing they were seeing something out of the ordinary. Kayla glided across the canvas with the lightness of someone who barely touches the ground, reading the future traced in her rival's shoulders. The harder Victoria pressed, the clearer the contrast became between brute strength and surgical precision. "Stand still, girl," she roared, frustration boiling over. But the shout dissolved into the muffled rhythm of breathing. One misstep from Victoria changed the show. Kayla pivoted her hips and unleashed her left hand. A sharp crack rippled through the gym, and the audience held its breath. Victoria staggered, hand to her face, stunned to taste metal so soon. But the show was only beginning. From that moment on, Kayla conducted an orchestra of pinpoint strikes. Every slip opened room for 3 lightning-fast counters. Every advance met a counterpunch that made Victoria rethink her game plan. The ring, once a stage for raw power, turned into the floor of a lethal dance. Spectators quickly realized they weren't seeing a mere exchange of punches, but a living lesson in anticipation, rhythm, and control. And the silent question spread. How much longer could Victoria stay on her feet? "Who's that girl?" someone in the stands shouted. From up top, Walter just lifted his chin. "Blaze Johnson," he answered, holding back a smile. The payback began in the second round. Victoria, gasping, her face already marked up, felt the weight of her mistake. Her pretentious posts were still circulating, but the comments had flipped. Getting whipped by a rookie. Where's the world champ now? The Jamaican's eating her alive. In the corner, Jake poured out instructions, but the fighter could hardly make out the words. The roar of the crowd, now against its former favorite, drowned everything out. At that moment, Kayla decided to show what she had. Before we go on, hit subscribe and ring the bell so YouTube knows this content matters and sends it to more people. "Blaze isn't just a name," she said calmly, trapping Victoria on the ropes. "It's a warning." What came next barely fit into cell phone cameras. Jab, cross, hook, uppercut. 4 shocks in less than 2 seconds, each one landing like it was scripted. Victoria crumpled to the canvas, a building imploding. The gym turned into a stadium. Screams, applause, phones held high. She tried to get up, but her legs refused. For the first time, the undefeated champ stared at the ceiling, knocked out by the one she'd called a charity project. 10, Tom announced, whistle blowing. "Knockout!" Kayla strode across the ring and stopped in front of the corner where they were tending to Victoria. She spoke calmly. "You wanted to teach me a lesson. Now you know respect doesn't come from skin color, a passport, or a bank balance. It's born of character." The line hit harder than any straight punch. Victoria looked up, tears of shame replacing her haughtiness. For the first time, real respect was there. Jake appeared with his phone. The stories where Victoria mocked Kayla were exploding on the screen, but the laughter had turned on her. Thousands were posting. "The amateur put you in your place." Prejudice collided with reality and went viral. The announcers noted, "Blaze Johnson ended Victoria's career in 3 rounds. Jake whispered, "You lost 100,000 followers in the last hour. Sponsors are bailing." Victoria grabbed the device with trembling hands. Every comment was a digital punch. "He who laughs last laughs best." Jamaican gave a masterclass in respect. Arrogance punished. The ring had become a public court, and the verdict was spreading through timelines. At center ring, the crowd chanted Kayla's name. Tom approached, intrigued by the champ's calm. "Blaze, can I ask something?" "Go ahead." "Why did you hide who you were from the start?" The whole arena held its breath, waiting. Kayla looked at Victoria, still propped up by trainers, her face showing the shock of seeing her own reputation collapse. "Sometimes you have to dig your own grave to realize how deep the hole is," she murmured as the arena buzzed. Walter stepped in and gave his niece a quick hug. "To me, you'll always be Blaze." Kayla shook her head, eyes following the rival left behind amid biting jokes. "Blaze was the mask I needed to survive. Today I showed who I am. Someone who won't tolerate disrespect and fights for dignity, not cruelty." Camera flashes fired non-stop. Within minutes, Kayla's uppercut went from private replay to global phenomenon. Fueled by every share, debates about prejudice, privilege, and what real power looks like flooded the feeds, hinting that a single fight could redefine 2 careers and the values of an entire community. 3 months later, the contrast looked almost theatrical. Vanessa Steele, once an undefeated champ, now wakes up in a rented apartment, far from the Miami mansion that showcased her trophies. The knockout video has topped 50 million views, and her name became a meme. Sterling crushed by the amateur. Sponsors that once poured in fortunes, Nike, Adidas, Gatorade, won't even take her calls. The fall that started in the ring echoes outside it, a daily reminder that arrogance doesn't sign lifetime contracts. Jake, Victoria's former manager, delivered the verdict in their last talk. "Victoria, the loss isn't the real problem. The problem is the person you showed yourself to be. No brand wants its image tied to prejudice and arrogance." Meanwhile, thousands of miles away, Kayla "Blaze" Johnson signed her first pro contract with Golden Gloves Promotions. $2 million for the first 3 fights and the chance to hit $50 million if she keeps the pace. She was no longer just a prospect. She'd become a symbol of perseverance. Companies focused on authenticity lined up. Under Armour launched a line with the slogan, "Earned, not given." In the gym's stuffy office, Tim Roberts took a call from ESPN. They wanted a documentary on how he discovered Blaze. He corrected them right away. "I didn't discover anyone. Kayla always knew who she was. She just needed respect before her fists could talk." The domino effect reached the gym. The scholarship program, once modest, started getting national donations. Kids from forgotten neighborhoods showed up every day, and the wait list already tops 500. Between one training session and the next, Walter Johnson would drop by to see his niece. His eyes still blazed with the same fire they'd had back in their childhood workouts. "Remember what I said about hunger?" he asked, tightening her wraps. "It doesn't go away when we win, it gets bigger. And whoever keeps that flame belongs in the center of the ring." Victoria tried everything to change her fate. She started a YouTube channel to apologize, but the comments stayed ruthless. She tried to get back in the ring, yet no promoter would meet her terms. With no sponsors, her savings vanished. Desperate, she agreed to appear on a niche podcast and finally said what she'd been holding in for months. "I was wrong. Kayla Johnson wasn't just an extraordinary fighter. She was someone I should have respected from day one. My prejudice blinded me." The clip turned into a meme again. Victoria trying to revive her career. Kayla, meanwhile, stayed classy. She told Sports Illustrated, "I don't carry anger. Anger eats away at the person who feels it. I'd rather use my energy to clear a path for other young women." Blaze Dreams, Kayla's foundation, has already covered scholarships and sports gear for 300 teens from under-resourced neighborhoods. The launch of her first gym, in the heart of Kingston, was streamed live. Holding the mic, the same one that had dropped champions, she spoke to the world, "This story isn't about revenge, it's about dignity. Respect doesn't come from privilege, it's earned through character." The crowd went wild. Kayla wrapped up, "The greatest gift Victoria gave me was underestimating me. When someone does that, you get to choose. Let the wound rust over or turn the humiliation into fuel to become untouchable." Tom Rodriguez sat in the front row and quietly wiped away a tear. After decades of molding champions, he'd never seen anyone flip a moment of mockery into pure drive as fast as Kayla "Blaze" Johnson. Months later, she stepped into the ring with every belt on the line. She dropped her opponent in the second round, the same round she had beaten Vanessa Steele back in that old Manhattan gym. With the mic in hand, she waved off coach and family. "Thanks to everyone who tried to shove me to the back of the line. From you, I learned that power isn't inherited, it's built when we refuse the labels." Across town, Victoria watched alone in a rented apartment. Seeing the referee raise Kayla's arm, she finally grasped the difference between being born talented and choosing to be great. Talent shows up for free. Greatness comes out of adversity's furnace. Kayla didn't just change scoreboards. She redefined what counts as strength and what deserves respect. Her victory rang out as a warning to anyone ever held down. Limits imposed by prejudice are paper chains. Under the arena lights, sweat and history streaked the new champ's shoulders. Every flash reminded everyone that some storms don't knock you down, they refine you. And when lightning splits the sky, the world learns the night will never be the same. So, did you vibe with that energy? Smash the like button so YouTube knows you're into this kind of content, and keep sending you truly inspiring stories. If you're not part of the crew yet, hit subscribe and tap the bell. That way you'll get first dibs on every new chapter of resilience we drop here. And hey, let us know in the comments which part hit you the hardest, or who needs to hear this message today. Share the video with that person who could use a little extra push. See you in the next one.